everyone, we are back for the second episode in my back to school series. I hope you enjoyed the first one. Today we'll be talking about a couple other topics about what you shouldn't be doing, as well as what you can do to help a student with Tourette syndrome in your classroom. So let's go ahead and get started. A big thing that a lot of people, whether you're an educator or not, that people don't always seem to understand is that tics can be different every single day. I've talked about this on my YouTube videos. I've talked about this in my shorts for YouTube, my reels, TikTok videos, whatever it might be. It is a topic that I cover a lot, and that is because it is a big misunderstanding for people on the outside looking into Tourette syndrome. Tics can be so different. We don't know when we're going to tic, so there's no possible way anybody else can tell us how often we should or should not be ticking, or how often or how severe we should or should not be ticking, or how it should look or how it should sound. Every single person with Tourette syndrome is different, and every single day for a person with Tourette syndrome is different. It could be different every minute of the day, let alone every day. And because of that, a lot of people seem to think that this could mean or does mean that that student, or even maybe those parents and the student, are lying to them, and that's just not true. You could go days without being quote unquote disruptive, and I greatly emphasize the quotes on that because the student is not trying to be disruptive and they should never be seen as such. But you can go days with being okay in the classroom. The student could maybe really, really love that subject, or just school maybe for some reason helps them because they're so concentrated in the classroom so they don't take as much. But then one day, maybe they're going through something at home, maybe they're excited about something, maybe they're going through any kind of emotion, or maybe the tics and the Tourette syndrome just decided that that's the day that it's going to be bad and it's going to be very noticeable. And to the teacher, to the other students, to the principal, to whoever it might be, it might seem that they are just doing this all of a sudden, and that must mean that they don't really have it and that they're faking. They want to get out of the class. They want to get out of their homework. They want to get out of the lesson. Whatever it might be that you make up in your mind about it, that's not the case. It's just the fact that that was the day that tics decided to be really, really bad. I've had this happen to me multiple times in my life, whether it was in the classroom or outside of the classroom. One example I can think of very vividly is a time where, now, most of the time my tics weren't that crazy in the class that people could see. Does not mean that I wasn't ticking, because you do not see all of the tics that happen. And you saying that you never see the student ticking isn't always true. There are mental tics. There are tics that we're doing that we mask, and we have become pretty good at making it seem like they're not tics just because we're so nervous about ticking in public. So most of the time I probably appeared that I was supposedly fine. One day I was in the classroom, I believe we were watching a video, and I know I said I remember this vividly and now I'm second guessing, but I'm pretty confident we were watching a video. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, I have a tic attack in the classroom. I start ticking like crazy. I can't stop it. My shoulders are going. I've always had a shoulder tic, and I believe that's the tic that I was having that day. And I had to leave the classroom. A friend of mine walked out of the classroom with me, and it's something that I will never forget that she has done. We have drifted over the years, but that is one very, very special thing that she did for me, and it's one thing that I will never forget that she did for me. But I had to walk out of the classroom, and I had to do a couple laps around the building with this friend. I don't always necessarily need somebody with me, but her being there to help me calm down was really, really important. And I ended up having to go lay down in the nurse's office just so I could lay down on a little bed. And I remember telling her, like, I just need to lay here for a minute. I know what I need to do. She kept insisting on calling my mom, and I kept telling her that that wasn't necessary, that I knew what I needed to do. And she called my mom anyway. She got a message because she was working. But all I needed was a little bit to calm down, do some breathing exercises, and try to calm myself down. That came out of nowhere. We were probably halfway through, if not more, of the school year by then, where I never had a tic attack before in that particular classroom. Doesn't mean I didn't have Tourette syndrome that whole time. Doesn't mean I wasn't struggling that whole time trying not to tic in the classroom either. Because remember, we can appear fine on the outside and be struggling on the inside. I had writing tics. I had stomach tics. I had tics that nobody maybe picked up on were tics, like I said earlier. And it's very hard to focus on all of these things at the same time. And when we're accused of faking, or when that teacher is implying that, oh, all of a sudden they're bad or something like that, it's going to make our tics worse. This goes back to the topic in my last video where I said the more we don't want to tick, the more we're going to tick. So the more we feel unsafe, the more a student feels unsafe in your classroom, the worse those tics are going to get, because now you're working on heightened emotions that are just building on top of each other. And so the tics are going to get worse because of that. And so it's so important to remember that every day is unexpected. We don't know what's going to come next. There's no way for you to be able to predict and tell us what's going to come next. And it's just something that shouldn't happen. And with that being said, pointing out a student's tics should be another thing that you never, ever, ever do. I have been told stories, once again, about teachers. When a student tics, they'd be writing on the board, they would stop writing on the board, turn around, and stare at that student while they were ticking. This makes me so mad, because what you need to understand is that you, the teacher, the person that the student is supposed to feel safe around, to look up to, is now the bully in the classroom, and you are setting the example of putting all eyes on that student and bullying that student. You are making it seem like it is okay for the other students to do that too, and it's not okay. And it's not something that should be happening. It's gonna make it worse. Every day after that, the student will feel unsafe in your classroom, and they're gonna need to tick more, and they're not gonna feel comfortable to tick more, and that can lead into a tick attack. And you are going to lose respect from that student, you're gonna lose respect from that parent, and quite frankly, it's a terrible thing to do. So just don't do that. Remember that we are people too. These students, these children, these young adults, they are people. And at the heart of it all, they just want to be able to be themselves. They want to feel safe in the classroom. They don't want their tics pointed out. And they don't want you to be their own bully. We got enough people in this world, especially online, that think they know us better, and they think that they get a free pass to make fun of Tourette Syndrome. You shouldn't be one of those people too. So I hope, once again, that you take what I said to heart. I hope you absorb it. I hope you share it with all of your teacher friends, your schools, because it is so, so important. You have no idea. You could have a student in your classroom with Tourette Syndrome, and you might not know. So it's important to just be kind. And if you need to learn more about something, if you feel like you need to have a conversation with that student, talk about it privately. And in my next video next week, you can catch what I will be going over of how you can help those students. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. And remember to share this video and send me any questions that you might have.